College. Bethune College is like a special ed HBCU. So there ain't no motherfucking college you jump up and say, "Say that boy going to the NFL." Nowhere in the history of Bethune College have anybody made it to the NFL.
All right, so I threw this tweet out yesterday, and I was very impressed with the response. Very, very proud of HBCU alumni. I tweeted this last night, and the responses are starting to come in today. They lighten up my They lighten my Twitter up as we speak right now. So I threw this tweet out, just instigating, trying to get FAMU, trying to get engagement from FAMU. Just trying to be funny. I wasn't serious. Charleston White was trolling, by the way, and I just decided to piece that little clip and troll Bethune Cookman, right? And I'm gonna give you context on that. Basically, what was going on was, Charleston White was on the Danza Project podcast. They were discussing Rick Ross and his altercation over in Vancouver, and he was in defense of Rick Ross, and somehow the conversation went to Tia Kemp, and why him and Tia Kemp are going back and forth, how he feels about that situation. He was basically defending Rick Ross, and he was just, telling his feelings. He was explaining how, what she gets online and does to Rick Ross, how that could affect their son, their son who probably sees his father as a hero. He resembles his father. Probably sees himself as in his father, and if not now, maybe later. He was just trying to explain the mentality, what that could do to his mental, and somewhere in that, he threw a joke about his ability on the football field, and somehow Bethune Cookman College just caught a stray. So in the name of entertainment, in the name of entertainment beef, Bethune Cookman was a casualty. So that's how they even came up into this discussion. All right. Contrary to your belief, Charleston White is very very, very entertaining. He's very insightful. He's very well versed when it comes to things like politics and laws in the states. Mental health of teenagers, right? So I'm a person that actually has the time to watch podcasts. Most people live their lives day to day. So, watching a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour podcast, that's just not something that should be a part of their day. But I got all the time. All I do is drive trucks all day and listen to podcasts. So, I'm gonna give you the context. I gave you 16 seconds of that. I gave you 16 seconds of that podcast. I knew what kind of reaction it would spark. I thought that HBCU alumni would be smarter than that. Y'all gotta be smarter than rage bait reaction. So it's good to see something and then follow up and check it out and get full context of it. I originally would like to delete the tweet, but I want somebody like me that's a little curious to go check that podcast out and get full context. I know a lot of people don't like Charleston White, but that's cool. That's why I gave you that context. But I was very impressed with the response from the HBCU alumni. I've never in my life seen, rival schools defend each other. I come from a community where, we got neighborhood rivalries. We got people that's 30, 40, in their 50s, having real divisive issues over high school, high school sports. People will not fool with each other over what high school they went to, over what communities they come from. So to see the HBCU rivalry put aside to defend the brand and the image of HBCU, that's very important. It's very impressive. Like, this statement right here was definitely false. Definitely false. There's plenty of players who made it to the NFL from the Bethune Wildcats. But I just never seen it, so it was impressive to me. When I hear FAMU alumni and Bethune Cookman alumni speak of each other, you would think they hate each other. Like, they really say some crazy things. So to watch people who didn't come from that school come to the defense first, it shocked me and it impressed me. Because, one, I know, we don't fool with them folks over there. We not skinning and grinning with them people. But they still represent us. They are still a representation of us. They are still HBCU alumni. So we're not going to tolerate any disrespect when it comes to the brand and the image of HBCU. And what was said could have very much swayed people's image and views of HBCU schools. So that needed to be defended. And I'm glad to see, a vision of black people, black educated people banding together, uniting, and making that clear. That right there made me want to delete the tweet. But I'm going to leave it up for the purpose of, they said, some people said that they want to clip it for the classics, whatever. And then, also people to get curious and get more educated, get more context of what was said, so they go and watch the podcast. But I just had a great respect for them. That's something that needs to be seen, that needs to be demonstrated more within the black community. My whole family went to FAMU. I didn't go to FAMU. I'm an outsider, just like Charleston White is an outsider. But my whole family went to FAMU, so I have an admiration still for FAMU and for HBCU culture. As far as Charleston White goes, Charleston White is from Texas. He's not from Florida. Bethune Cookman is for us in Florida to love. That's for us to defend. But he doesn't have to care about Bethune Cookman. He's in Texas. What he loves and what he chooses to love that's him. That's for him. Bethune Cookman has nothing to do with him. He could care less about being educated on it. But I don't think he's against HBCU, because just recently, he was on the Fuck Dion campaign. All because he would rather see black people rally behind HBCU schools and give HBCU all this money and attention. He would rather see them get that than a school like Colorado, who was never everybody's favorite in college football. He would rather see a HBCU get all the attention that Dion brought to Colorado. So I don't think that he's against HBCUs. Misinformed, maybe. But I don't think he's against HBCUs. But I just wanted to touch on that. I was just very impressed. That was a proud moment